Hello everyone. Well, I'm back out here working on the trommel, and stupid me didn't notice that there was a drain on the bottom of the pump, which you can see it flowing now. Water coming out of it. So it was full of water. So that was likely why the rod hydraulicked. And if you just stumbled upon this video and you don't know what's going on here, I would say go back and look at the previous videos on this trommel restoration, because as everybody knows, a good story always starts at the beginning. Anyhow, just wanted to give everybody a quick update what I got going on. I don't have my tripod with me, so I got it in my hands. Sorry about the shakes and all that, but I'm gonna be, like I said in the last video, the rod is bent, so I'm gonna be pulling that out, straightening that out, and then I got the bolts loose here on the clamshell of the pump. Gonna be rebuilding the check valve, even though I think it was all right. And once I get the cover off here, I'll bring you guys back so you can take a look at what's behind there. I'm just gonna let this drain all the way, so if there's any like loose parts or anything, that they don't just come blowing out and then I lose it. So I'll bring you back in a bit. All right, so we got the cover off, and that's what it looks like, just like I suspected. So it's just a big rubber diaphragm that oscillates in and out, so suck water in, and on the push stroke it's supposed to be pushing it up through the check valve here and then up to the water line. So all of this looks like, and the rubber's still really good. It's really thick, heavy. So I mean, and then that's where it attaches to the rod. So it got full of water, and this is telling me that this is, even though it was moving, something's not right here. So I'm gonna have to check it out, because it filled with water and it's like it stuck. It couldn't go anywhere, and pow, it hydraulicked. So I need to get this apart, further apart. I got to take the rod off in order for this part to come out, the diaphragm. So let me get that taken care of, and I'll bring you guys back. But everything looks, I mean, it doesn't look like anything's damaged. It just, something got stuck and it bent. Well, I shouldn't say not damaged, because it damaged the rod, but I can straighten that out. So all right, I'll bring you back in a bit. All right, here we are back on the drive side of it. And I got the rod disconnected from its eccentric. Pretty simple, actually, way easier to come apart than what I was expecting. And it's, again, because of Bill's genius when he built this. This is stainless steel. Bill and Tim together were machinists. They have the mill is in the shop, the lathe, all of it. And he made all this. So he made that stub shaft. It goes onto a bearing set back in there, and it's stainless steel. And he did that because so it wouldn't really rust. These rust marks are from this crank assembly, which is steel and will obviously rust. But that's awesome that he actually took the time to make that out of stainless steel, the eccentric. And you can see when it rotates. Get in here a bit closer. You can actually see the machine marks on it, or I can see them. That's totally cool. The center, it's keyed shaft. The set screw lock, wow. Did a good job. It's a steel gear, it's rusting, but I mean, whatever. But I just got a kick out of that, you know. God, guys were geniuses. Smart men, the way they put this all together too. I really hope I get this going and running gold through it for them, so that they could see it from the heavens above, because I know they're watching. I know I'm getting chills right now. I know he's smiling right now. Tim and Bill. Miss you. All right, guys. I'll get this apart a little bit more. I gotta disconnect it from the diaphragm back in there and get the rod over to the press and straighten it back out. I'll get back with you in a bit. All right, what we got here is the check valve off of the pump. And I think I figured out what went wrong after having a think about it. Good long think of what could have possibly happened. Okay, water being pumped up through the suction line obviously had trash in it, and that's my own fault for not thinking about flushing it out, and it could have been a wasp nest or some stupid shit like that. But I believe what happened was trash that was in that line came into the pump and then was pushed through the valve, because I had taken this apart and cleaned it all up. I didn't notice is that spring was busted in two pieces. I only saw one part of it because the other half of it was stuck inside the housing. But what I believe happened, and it makes sense, is that it sucked trash up because it was working, came in through the valve, and then all the garbage went around the valve and then went over to this side here, and along with the pressure pushing this up, because the return spring is supposed to keep that towards the seat, it being broken just allowed it to slam shut along the base here with all the trash, which most of it's gone, but here's leftover bits of it and shit. It's just, you know, dirt and probably paper wasp nest, but it slammed this, blocking the output side up to the pump and causing the hydraulic situation. You can't compress the water, so what it did is it bent the rod. So that's my theory on what likely happened. As to what, I mean, it's the only real explanation. It could have been something else, but that makes sense to me, seeing all the garbage and shit that came out of there. My fucking dumbass, dude. Lesson learned, but at least I figured it out. Clean everything out, especially after it's been sitting for 30 fucking years or however long it was, because that's all it takes is a bug nest. So, all right, everyone, back. Got the rod on the press and straightened back out. That's not 100%, but it'll do. And then this nut here, I gotta free it up. I had it soaked in some WD-40, but everything else pretty much came apart relatively easy. It's just this nut giving me a little bit of trouble, but I'm gonna get it free because it's the jam nut to lock that. Even the bearing from sitting in, he used a sealed bearing and it's still good. It's just the connecting rod he made for it, a little bit of surface rust, but I don't think that's gonna hurt nothing. Then as far as, let's bring you over here to the check valve. I decided that I am going to leave it out of the system because there's already a check valve on the suction side of the hose, on the intake. So in theory, you'd be drawing it up, and then as soon as it gets to the pump, it'll push it up to the main water bars, which are open. This is just a backflow preventer, pretty much, would be the only reason I can think of as to why it would be where it was. So maybe it has to be there, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna try it. I just took it apart because they put it in there with the coupler. This should fit. I cleaned it up right on top of the pump, and then the hose right on top of it. So I'm gonna fit the hose clamp on here snug but not tight, so in the event that it wants to start pumping water and there's something maybe in the main line, because all the valves are open, but if there's something in there plugging it up, if there's a restriction again, it'll just blow off the line rather than hydrolocking. I know I say hydraulic. I went back and looked and I say, because that's just what we use as a mechanic term. Oh, fucking thing, hydraulic, you know, when motors used to blow up and shit. So, but yes, the actual term is hydrolocking. So, because you cannot compress liquid. So, let me get this back all back together and I'll bring you back. All right, let me show you what I got here going on. I cleaned everything out and flushed the suction line out, and there was a bunch of trash and bugs nests in there just waiting to get sucked up into the pump. So I'm glad I did that. And then before I put the rod in, I have it on the other side. Show you what I got here. I have the garden hose, and I'm gonna hook it up here with a, what do you got, a little nozzle here, so that way I can control the flow and then start feeding water in via the hose into the water bar system to flush everything out. So I'm gonna, all the valves are open. So if there's any, especially here at the, what is it, the 2-inch connection. So if you were gonna run an external pump, this is where you would connect it. Big gate valve, it's open. So hopefully if there's any crap in there, everything comes flushing out. So I'm gonna do that real quick. And if there's anything interesting, I'll bring you guys back. I didn't bring my tripod out here again, but if it's, looks like it's gonna be something juicy, I'll go grab it. So see you in a bit. All right, it's later on in the day. I did quite a bit since the last bit there. Flushing the water bar out was pretty much uneventful. There was a little bit of trash that came out, you know, on each end, the purge end here, where he hooked up. He's got a fitting here for an air line that was to blow out the system. Sorry about the wind noise, because it's in the evening time here. I just want to get this video wrapped up. But yeah, there was not a, I'm sorry, I know that's probably really loud, but there wasn't nothing really blocking up in there. Most of the trash came out of the 2-inch section here. You know, it's all wet around here from flushing it, but other than that, everything flowed pretty well. But what I got going on, and I'm going to put in another video, was as I was putting the connecting rod on, it was giving me a little bit of trouble, and I noticed that there was about a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch of misalignment. So if you're looking at it, you know, use the axle as a frame of reference. It being straight, it was the push rod was cockeyed, meaning it was at an angle, you know. So what I had to do is the cross beam that attaches the pump assembly, or the pump assembly attaches it to the frame, I need to mill in some slots, not on the pump side, but on the hole, so that I can move it from left to right to get that alignment perfect, or else it'll be a really bad wear issue. I mean, there's a little bit of wiggle room, but not a whole lot. So that has to get addressed. And then the other issue was the bearing carrier. There was a couple loose bolts. They had them in there that were way too long, and he used a big old stack of spacers, so I'm going to be cleaning that up too. So I'll get all that on the next video. I'm going to wrap this up because the wind noise is probably horrible. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.